The security camera captured 47 seconds of my mother standing at our front gate. I know because I watched it 6 times before I showed it to Marcus. She was holding a suitcase with a broken wheel, the kind that tilts to one side and makes you walk crooked. Her hair was shorter than I remembered, grayer too, pulled back with a clip that didn't match anything she was wearing. I was 300 miles away from the last place she'd seen me, 9 years away from the last thing she'd said to me, standing in a kitchen with marble countertops that cost more than the car ride, driven to my wedding. My daughter, Emma, was at the table doing her multiplication homework. My son, Caleb, was building something with blocks that would definitely fall over before dinner. But my mother at the gate, crying into her hands while the suitcase tipped sideways onto the brick driveway that was just the end. Let me tell you how we got here. Welcome back to Revenge Camera Stories. I'm Rachel, 35, a senior data analyst for a tech company in Austin, Texas. I make $98,000 a year, work from home 3 days a week, and live in a house with a 2-car garage and a sprinkler system. I still don't know how to program. This is the story of how my mother gave me an ultimatum on my wedding day and what happened 9 years later when she showed up at my gate with nowhere else to go. If you've ever had to choose between the person you love and the family that was supposed to love you first, drop a comment. You're not alone. I met Marcus Chun at a data conference in Denver. He was presenting on predictive modeling for healthcare systems. I was in the 3rd row, taking notes on my laptop, and when he said, "Data doesn't care about your assumptions," I looked up and he was looking right at me. We got coffee in the hotel lobby, talked until 2 a.m. He was 29, worked for a consulting firm in Austin, and had the kind of laugh that made other people smile even if they didn't know what was funny. 6 months later, he drove to Little Rock every other weekend. 8 months in, I transferred to a remote position and moved to Austin. My mother noticed I was packing boxers and asked who he was. "His name is Marcus," I said, folding sweaters into a plastic bin. "He's a data consultant. He's kind. You'd like him." She stood in my doorway, arms crossed. "What does he look like?" I stopped folding, looked at her. "Does that matter?" "Rachel." I pulled up a photo on my phone. Marcus at a park, mid-laugh, wearing a University of Texas shirt. His skin is the warm brown of someone whose grandmother was born in Taiwan and whose grandfather grew up in Louisiana. My mother looked at the screen for 3 seconds. "You're throwing your life away." That was March 2015. We got engaged in November. Small ring, nothing flashy. Marcus proposed at a taco truck near our apartment because he knew I hated public spectacle and loved carnitas. I called my mother the next morning, told her we were getting married in January. Small ceremony. Austin Courthouse. Dinner after. She could bring my younger brother, Tyler, and my Aunt Jean if she wanted. Silence on the other end. Not the processing kind. The calculating kind. "If you marry him, don't come back here." I sat on our couch. Marcus was in the kitchen making scrambled eggs. The smell of butter and pepper. The sound of the spatula on the pan. "Mom, I'm not asking for permission. I'm inviting you. You're embarrassing this family. Rachel, your father would be ashamed." My father had been dead for 6 years. Lung cancer. He'd loved old westerns and strawberry ice cream and me. He would not have been ashamed. He would have asked Marcus about his favorite baseball team and made bad jokes about data until everyone groaned. Dad would have walked me down the aisle. "Your father isn't here. I am. And I'm telling you marry him, and you are not my daughter." She hung up. Marcus appeared in the doorway holding 2 plates of eggs. He'd heard enough. "You okay?" I took the plate. "We're getting married in 3 weeks." He sat down next to me. And your mom made her choice. January 14th, 2016, Thursday afternoon. Travis County Courthouse. Marcus wore a navy suit from Men's Warehouse. I wore a cream dress from Nordstrom Rack, $89 clearance. His parents flew in from Houston. His sister brought her kids. My Aunt Jean showed up, but not my mother. Not Tyler. Jean hugged me in the hallway outside the courtroom. Your mama's a stubborn woman. Give her time. I nodded, didn't cry. Time was something I had. Whether she'd use it was her problem. The ceremony lasted 8 minutes. Judge Kowalski had kind eyes and a calm voice. When she said, "You may kiss," Marcus grinned like we'd just won something. Maybe we had. Dinner was at a Vietnamese restaurant on East Cesar Chavez. Pho, spring rolls, and a coconut cake Marcus's mom had baked and smuggled in. We toasted with iced coffee because nobody drank and. Marcus's dad told his story about the first time. He met Marcus's mom and accidentally called her by her sister's name for 3 hours. At 9 p.m., we went home. To our apartment. Our life, no mother. No brother. No apology. If you've ever built a family from scratch. Because the one you were born into wouldn't make room. Hit that like button. This story is just getting started. I didn't call. Didn't text. Didn't send photos of our apartment. Or my new job or the trip we took to San Antonio. For our first anniversary. My mother didn't call either. Tyler texted once. March 2016. Mom's not doing well. Call her. I stared at the message for 20 minutes. Typed, "I'm here if she wants to talk." He never replied. Marcus and I settled into a rhythm. He worked long hours. I worked from home, managed datasets for a healthcare startup. Pulled 7,200美元. A year good money for someone who'd grown up in a town where $40,000 was doctor-level income. We saved $1,200 a month. Put it in a Vanguard Index fund Marcus had explained to me over breakfast one Saturday. By December, we had $14,000 saved. Not rich, just careful. Emma arrived in May 2017, 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Born at 4:47 a.m. at St. David's Medical Center. Marcus cried. I didn't. Not until the nurse put her on my chest and she opened her eyes and looked at me like she'd been waiting. I thought about calling my mother for maybe 10 seconds. Then I remembered her voice on the phone. You are not my daughter. I took a photo of Emma, sent it to Aunt John. She's here, healthy, beautiful. Jean replied an hour later. Your mama saw the picture. She's crying. Won't say why. I read it twice. Deleted the message. Fed my daughter. Moved on. In 2019, I got promoted. Senior Data Analyst. 98,000 a year. Marcus made $110,000 by then. Combined income, 208美元, 000. We bought a house in a suburb called Cedar Park, 15 minutes north of Austin. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a backyard with a fence, and a 2-car garage. 38,500, we put down $77,000, 20%. No PMI. The mortgage was $1,847 a month. Less than people paid for a 1-bedroom downtown. Caleb was born in August 2020. Pandemic baby. Home birth because hospitals were a nightmare. Midwife named Shauna who made me laugh between contractions. Marcus held my hand and whispered, "You're doing amazing." So many times it became a mantra. To kids. A house, careers, savings account with $48,000 in it. We weren't rich. We were stable. The kind of stable that came from to people who showed up, did the work, and didn't spend money they didn't have. My mother knew none of this. By choice, hers, then mine. John called every few months. She was my father's sister, 68 years old. Lived in the same town as my mother. and had the kind of moral clarity that came from raising 5 kids on a postal worker's salary. Your mama asks about you. Jin said in February 2022, won't say it outright. But she asks. I was folding laundry. Emma was 7. Caleb was almost 2. What does she want to know? If you're happy. I set down a towel. What do you tell her? The truth. That you're doing just fine without her. Jean didn't say it mean. She said it the way you'd say, it's raining. A fact. No spin. This part 1 learned later. From Jean, from Tyler, from a cousin, who still had my number. And nothing to gain from lying. Here's what my mother's life looked like while I was building mine. Tyler dropped out of college in 2017, came home, started working at a Home Depot in Little Rock, still lived with my mother, paid no rent, contributed nothing. Mom worked at the same dental office she'd been at for 22 years. Receptionist, 34000美元 a year. The house was paid off. Dad had done that before he died, but the roof leaked. The AC died in 2019, and she'd pulled $8,000 from her savings to replace it. By 2023, she had maybe $12,000 left in the bank. No retirement beyond Social Security. Tyler still living in the back bedroom, playing video games, and going through her groceries like a human wood chipper. Jean told me this in June 2024. Your mama's proud. Won't ask for help. But Rachel, she's sinking. I sat on my back porch, watched Emma and Caleb chase each other around the playset Marcus had built last summer. She made her choice, Jean. I know, but I'm telling you so you're not blindsided. I wasn't blindsided. I was prepared. My cousin Stephanie texted me in August. We hadn't spoken in 4 years. Your mom's talking about selling the house. Thought you should know. I stared at the message. The house was the only thing she had. The house Dad had worked 50-hour weeks to pay off. The house where I learned to ride a bike in the driveway and buried my cat in the backyard. I didn't reply to Stephanie. I opened my banking app. Checked the savings account. $61,000. Check the retirement accounts. 89000 combined. Check the mortgage balance. 288000 remaining. We were fine. Better than fine. My mother was not my responsibility. I didn't say it out loud. I didn't have to. The boundary was already drawn. 9 years deep. September 12, 2024, 3:47 p.m. I was in the kitchen prepping chicken for dinner when my phone buzzed. Notification from the Ring camera at the front gate. I opened the app. A woman stood at the gate. Gray hair. Navy blue cardigan despite the 90-degree heat. A suitcase tilted on broken wheels next to her. It took me 5 seconds to recognize her. My mother looked 10 years older than the last time. I'd seen her thinner, tired. She was crying into her hands. I watched the footage. She pressed the call button on the intercom. I didn't have the sound on, but I saw her lips move. Then she just stood there, waiting. Marcus came into the kitchen. Who's at the gate? I turned the phone toward him. He looked at me. What do you want to do? That's the thing about Marcus. He didn't tell me what to do. Didn't say, she's your mother, let her in. Or don't you dare open that gate. He just asked. I looked at Emma and Caleb in the living room. Caleb was stacking blocks. Emma was reading a book about dolphins to kids who'd never met their grandmother. Not because I kept them from her, because she'd drawn the line first. I'm going to talk to her, I said, but not in the house. Marcus nodded. I'll keep the kids inside. I walked down the driveway. The gate was wrought iron, painted black, with a keypad entry on the inside. She could see me through the bars. She stopped crying when she saw me, wiped her face with the sleeve of her cardigan. Rachel. I stood 3 feet from the gate. Didn't open it, Mom. Silence. She looked past me at the house, two-story, brick string lights on the porch. Marcus had hung last month. A yard that got mowed every Saturday. You've done well. I didn't respond. She looked back at me. I need help. There it was. Not I'm sorry. Not I was wrong. Just need. What kind of help? I'm selling the house. Tyler's been. He's not contributing. I can't afford it anymore. I need a place to stay while I figure things out. Figure what out? Where I'm going to live. I thought, maybe I could stay here. Just for a little while. I let the request sit in the heat. A cicada buzzed in the tree behind her. The suitcase tipped further, and she caught it with her foot. You told me if I married Marcus, I wasn't your daughter. She looked at the ground. I was upset. For 9 years. Rachel, I'm asking for help. I crossed my arms. Not defensive. Just settled. You didn't come to my wedding. Didn't meet Emma, didn't meet. Caleb, didn't call when I got promoted or bought this house or did anything in the last 9 years. You don't get to show up now because you need something. Her face crumpled. I made a mistake. Yeah, you did. So you're just going to leave me out here. No, I'm going to give you what you gave me. A choice. She looked up. Mascara streaked down her cheeks. There's a Hampton in 10 minutes from here. I'll pay for 3 nights. That'll give you time to call Tyler, call John. Call whoever you need to figure out your next step. But you're not staying in my house. Rachel, please. I pulled out my phone. Opened the Hilton app. Booked a room. 3 nights. 104 per night. Total $312. Confirmation. Number 8,372,648. I held up the screen. Reservations under your name. Check-in is at 4 p.m. The address is 2701 La Fronteras Boulevard. She stared at the phone. You're really not going to help me. I just did. What you wanted was for me to fix your problem. That's different. If you've ever had to set a boundary with someone who only showed up when they needed something, subscribe because this is where it gets real. My mother took the reservation. Didn't say thank you. Got in her Cara, 2011 Honda Civic. With a dent in the passenger door and drove away. I walked back into the house. Marcus was at the kitchen table with the kids. Emma looked up. Who was that? I sat down next to her. Someone I used to know. Emma's too smart for her own good. Was it Grandma? I paused. Marcus didn't jump in. Just waited. Yeah, baby, it was. Why didn't she come inside? Because grown-ups are complicated. Emma accepted that. Went back to her dolphins. Caleb knocked over his blocks and laughed. That night, after the kids were asleep, Marcus and I sat on the back porch. He handed me a glass of wine. How do you feel? I don't know yet. He nodded, didn't push. I pulled up the ring footage again. Watched my mother stand at the gate. Watched her cry. Watched her realize I wasn't going to open it. I'm not angry, I said finally. I'm just done. Marcus squeezed my hand. That's allowed. Jean called the next morning. Your mama says you turned her away. I was making coffee. Put the phone on speaker. I gave her a hotel room for 3 nights. She says you humiliated her. Jean, she showed up after 9 years and asked to move in. I said no, that's not humiliation. That's a boundary. Jean was quiet for a second. Then, your daddy would be proud of you. I stopped mid-pour. You think? He told me once, before he passed, Rachel's got a backbone. She'd be fine, he was right. I finished pouring the coffee. Thanks, Jean. Your mama's gonna have to learn the hard way. Some people do. We hung up. I sat at the table. Sipped the coffee. Marcus came downstairs, hair sticking up, still half asleep. He saw my face. Good news. Something like that. Tyler texted me that afternoon. First time in 7 years. You really not gonna help Mom? I read it, set the phone down. Picked it up. Typed. I helped. Paid for a hotel. She's an adult. She can figure out the rest. So can you? He replied immediately. You're cold. I typed back. I'm consistent. That's different. He didn't respond after that. My mother checked out of the Hampton Inn on the third day. I know because I got a notification that the reservation had been completed. Jean called. She's staying with me for now. We're working on finding her a senior apartment. Something affordable. That's good. She asked if you'd be willing to meet for coffee. Talk. I watched Emma and Caleb in the backyard through the kitchen window. Emma was teaching Caleb how to do a cartwheel. He kept falling over. She kept helping him up. Not yet, I said. Maybe not ever. I don't know. That's fair, Jean said. You don't owe her forgiveness on her timeline. Thanks, Jean. Love you, baby. Love you too. I got a letter in the mail, handwritten, my mother's looping cursive on an envelope, with no return address. Inside, Rachel, I'm sorry. I should have said that first. I should have said it 9 years ago. I was wrong. You built a beautiful life. And I wasn't part of it because I was too proud and too scared to admit I'd made a mistake. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know. Mom. I read it twice. Folded it. Put it in the drawer with the bills and the old birthday cards and the things I'd deal with later. Marcus saw me close the drawer. You gonna respond. Eventually. When I'm ready. He kissed the top of my head. You're allowed to take your time. A month later. Emma had a math test. Caleb learned the word helicopter and said it 47 times at breakfast. Marcus made pancakes. I worked from home, cleared 14 support tickets, and took a meeting about a new analytics dashboard. At 3:30, I picked the kids up from school. Caleb pointed at a bird. Helicopter. That's a crow, buddy. Helicopter crow. Close enough. I thought about the letter in the drawer. About the mother who'd drawn a line and the daughter who'd learned to live on the other side of it. About the family I'd built from 2 people, then 3, then 4. Yeah, I said. A really good day. Here's what I learned. If someone tells you they'll only love you under conditions, they don't love you. They love their idea of you. And you don't owe them access to your life when the conditions change. My mother drew the line. I just stopped trying to cross it. 9 years later, she showed up needing something. I gave her what I could without setting myself on fire to keep her warm. That's not cruelty. That's survival. Emma and Caleb don't know their grandmother. Maybe one day they will. Maybe they won't. But they know they're loved. They know their parents chose each other and chose them. That's the family that matters. A broken gate can keep people out. But it also shows you who was only there when the gate was open. If you've ever had to choose yourself over someone else's expectations, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Comment your story below. Subscribe to Revenge Camera Stories for more, and I'll see you in the next one. The security footage still sits in my archive. 47 seconds of a woman at a gate, crying. I haven't deleted it. Maybe I